They weren't just failures, they were hard lessons that taught the industry what not to do. From promising designs that never delivered to engineering disasters that cost millions, International Harvester had its share of tractors that disappointed farmers worldwide. In this video, we're counting down the top 10 worst IH tractors of all time. Some were ambitious experiments gone wrong. Others were symptoms of a company in decline. Whether you remember the frustration or just want to learn from history, these machines tell important stories. Let's fire up those engines and take a sobering ride through tractor history's darkest chapters. Number 10. The International Harvester 4300 for WD, produced from 1971 to 1974. The International 4300 for WD promised to bring serious four-wheel drive power to American farms. Under the hood sat the DT436 turbocharged diesel engine producing 125 horsepower at the PTO, with its distinctive yellow and red paint scheme and massive frame weighing over 7,000 kilograms. It looked like it meant business. The 4300 featured a power-shift transmission with 16 forward and 8 reverse gears. What made the International 4300 for WD one of the worst was its catastrophic reliability problems. The front axle was woefully inadequate for the power and weight, leading to frequent and expensive failures. The power-shift transmission proved fragile in real-world conditions, with clutch packs burning out after just a few hundred hours. Hydraulic systems leaked constantly from day one, and the electrical system was prone to mysterious failures that left farmers stranded during critical seasons. Repair costs were astronomical, often exceeding the tractor's value within just a few years. Compared to competitors like the John Deere 4630 and Case 1470, the 4300 was a nightmare of downtime and repair bills. The International 4300 for WD wasn't just a disappointment. It was a warning about rushing unproven technology to market. Number 9. The Farmall 460, built between 1958 and 1963. The Farmall 460 was supposed to be the reliable middle option in IH's new numbered series. Powered by the IHCC to 21 gasoline engine producing 52 horsepower, it seemed perfectly positioned for medium-sized farms. The 460 featured a 5-speed transmission and weighed approximately 2,800 kilograms, making it appear ideal for row crop work. What made the Farmall 460 one of the worst was that it inherited all the catastrophic problems of its bigger brother, the 560, but with less power to justify the headaches. The final drive failures that plagued the early numbered series hit the 460 just as hard, but farmers felt even more cheated because they weren't getting impressive power. Early units experienced rear axle failures that could leave farmers stranded during critical seasons, with repair bills exceeding $5,000. The transmission was problematic, with synchronizers wearing out prematurely and gear teeth breaking under normal loads. Oil consumption was excessive, and the cooling system was inadequate. Compared to the reliable John Deere 420 and Allis-Chalmers D15, the 460 was clearly inferior. The Farmall 460 wasn't just underpowered. It was unreliable when farmers needed dependability most. Number 8. The International 3388 to +2. Produced from 1979 to 1982, the International 3388 to +2 represented IH's attempt to create a more maneuverable four-wheel drive tractor through articulated steering. The 2+2 design featured a pivot point in the middle, allowing the front and rear sections to bend independently. Powered by the DT358 diesel engine producing 145 horsepower, it promised the traction of four-wheel drive with improved turning radius. What made the International 3388 to +2 one of the worst was its overcomplicated design that created more problems than it solved. The articulation joint was a constant source of trouble, with seals failing regularly and causing expensive hydraulic fluid leaks. The complex steering system required specialized knowledge that most mechanics didn't possess, leading to extended downtime and inflated repair bills. The transmission was finicky, and prone to costly failures, with clutch packs burning out prematurely. The 2+2 concept sounded innovative, but in practice, it was unnecessarily complex for most farming operations. Parts were expensive and often backordered for weeks. Compared to conventional four-wheel drive tractors like the John Deere 40x40, the 3388 was a maintenance nightmare. The International 3388 wasn't just complicated. It was a solution looking for a problem that didn't exist. Number 7. The International Harvester Hydro 70. Built from 1975 to 1979, the Hydro 70 was IH's attempt to bring hydrostatic transmission technology to smaller farms. The concept seemed sound: infinite speed variability without clutching or gear shifting. Powered by a 4-cylinder diesel engine producing 58 horsepower, it targeted farmers wanting modern convenience in a compact package weighing approximately 2,400 kilograms. What made the International Hydro 70 one of the worst was its problematic hydrostatic transmission that never lived up to its promises. The system ran dangerously hot, requiring constant attention to fluid levels and cooling. Hydraulic pumps failed regularly after just 600 hours, often requiring complete transmission rebuilds that cost more than the tractor was worth. The hydrostatic drive was extremely inefficient, consuming significantly more fuel than conventional gear drive tractors. The transmission's response was sluggish compared to mechanical systems, frustrating operators. Heat buildup was so severe that many units experienced permanent damage to internal components. Compared to reliable competitors like the John Deere 2030 and Ford 4600, the Hydro 70 was clearly inferior. The International Hydro 70 wasn't just inefficient. It was unreliable technology that farmers couldn't depend on. Number 6. The Farmall Cub Lowboy. Produced from 1955 to 1964, the Cub Lowboy was International's attempt to create a specialized low-profile tractor for orchard and vineyard work. Based on the popular Farmall Cub, the Lowboy featured a lowered operator position and modified exhaust routing to allow operation under low-hanging branches. It used the same reliable IHCC60 engine producing 10 horsepower, but with significant modifications to the frame. What made the Farmall Cub Lowboy one of the worst was its impractical design that solved a problem very few farmers actually had. The extremely low seating position was uncomfortable for extended operation, causing back strain after just 2 hours of use. The modified controls were awkward to reach, and ground clearance was so minimal that the tractor frequently got stuck on small obstacles. The specialized design made it unsuitable for general farm work, severely limiting its versatility and resale value. Marketing efforts failed because the target market was too narrow. Most orchard operators found that regular tractors worked just as well without the compromises. Production numbers remained low, making parts availability problematic. Compared to the versatile standard Farmall Cub, the Lowboy was a commercial failure. The Farmall Cub Lowboy wasn't just specialized. It was an answer to a question nobody was asking. Number 5. The International 86 Series Late Models. Built from 1974 to 1976, the late production 86 Series tractors represented International Harvester during its financial decline. While earlier 86 Series tractors were generally solid machines, these final models suffered from cost-cutting measures and quality control problems as the company struggled financially. They featured the same engines as earlier models, but with cheaper components throughout. What made these late International 86 Series tractors some of the worst was the dramatic decline in build quality as IH cut corners to save money. Electrical systems were particularly problematic, with cheap wiring harnesses that failed regularly. Hydraulic components leaked from day one due to inferior seals and poor assembly practices. Metal fabrication was noticeably thinner and more prone to cracking. Paint quality was poor, leading to premature rust and corrosion problems. Quality control was virtually non-existent, with tractors leaving the factory with missing bolts and incorrect adjustments. Dealers spent significant time correcting factory defects before delivery. Compared to earlier models and competitors, these late models were clearly inferior. The late International 86 series wasn't just declining quality. It was the beginning of the end for IH tractors. Number 4. The International Harvester 4366 for WD produced from 1970 to 1976. The 4366 was supposed to be IH's flagship four-wheel drive tractor. Powered by the massive DT436 turbocharged diesel producing 161 horsepower, it promised incredible pulling power for the largest farming operations. The 4366 featured a 20-speed powershift transmission and weighed over 8,000 kilograms fully equipped. What made the International 4366 for WD one of the worst was its catastrophic front axle failures that became legendary in the worst possible way. The front differential was inadequately designed for the massive torque output, leading to spectacular failures that often damaged surrounding components. These weren't gradual wear issues, but sudden, violent breakdowns that could destroy the entire front end, leaving farmers with repair bills exceeding $15,000. The powershift transmission was equally problematic, with control valves that stuck regularly and clutch packs that burned out prematurely. Engine problems were common, with turbocharger failures occurring regularly. Even when running properly, the 4366 consumed fuel at an alarming rate. Compared to the reliable John Deere 4630 and versatile 950, the 4366 was an expensive disaster. The International 4366 for WD wasn't just unreliable. It was a financial catastrophe for everyone involved. Number 3. The Farmall 560. Built from 1958 to 1963, the Farmall 560 should have been International's crowning achievement, launching the numbered series with impressive power and modern styling. Powered by the IHC D280 diesel engine producing 60 horsepower, it represented a significant leap forward from the letter series. The 560 featured modern styling by Raymond Loewy and advanced hydraulics that should have set new standards. What made the Farmall 560 one of the worst was the epic final drive failures that plagued early production models and nearly destroyed IH's reputation. The rear axle assembly was woefully inadequate for the increased power, leading to catastrophic failures that stranded farmers during critical seasons. These weren't minor problems, but complete breakdowns requiring expensive rebuilds costing up to $8,000. The failures were so widespread that IH faced massive recall campaigns and warranty claims that cost the company over $50 million. Even after IH redesigned the rear end in 1959, the damage to the 560's reputation was permanent. Sales plummeted and dealers struggled to move inventory. The financial impact contributed significantly to IH's long-term decline. The Farmall 560 wasn't just a mechanical failure. It was a reputation destroyer that haunted International for decades. Number 2. The International Harvester Axial Flow Tractor Concept. Developed from 1977 to 1979, this experimental tractor was supposed to integrate the cab, engine, and rotary threshing mechanism into a single self-propelled unit for continuous harvesting. The concept promised to revolutionize grain harvesting by eliminating the need for separate tractors and combines. Over $20 million were invested in this radical design during IH's financial crisis. What made the axial flow tractor concept one of the worst was that it never actually worked as intended despite massive investment. The integrated design was too complex, too heavy, and too unreliable for practical use. The rotary threshing mechanism clogged constantly, and the combined weight made the machine impractical for most field conditions. Steering and stability were severely compromised by the unusual weight distribution. The engine had to power both propulsion and threshing simultaneously, leading to constant power management problems. The project consumed desperately needed resources during IH's financial crisis while producing no marketable results. The concept was eventually abandoned, representing over $20 million in wasted development costs. The axial flow tractor concept wasn't just impractical. It was a symbol of IH's misguided priorities during its darkest period. Number 1. The International Harvester 50 series. Produced from 1980 to 1984, the 50 series represented International Harvester's final attempt at tractor manufacturing before selling the agricultural division to Case. Models like the 5088 and 50-for-88 were built during IH's severe financial crisis, when the company was cutting costs everywhere possible while struggling to stay alive. These tractors featured updated styling, but used mostly carryover mechanical components. What made the International 50 series the worst was that they represented everything wrong with a dying company. Quality control was virtually non-existent, with tractors shipping with missing parts, incorrect assemblies, and no proper testing. Paint was applied poorly and began peeling within months. Electrical systems failed regularly due to cheap components and poor assembly practices. Hydraulic seals leaked from day one, and engines often arrived with incorrect timing or contaminated oil systems. Dealer support collapsed as IH's financial situation worsened, leaving farmers stranded with expensive machines and no parts or service support. Many dealers refused to sell 50 series tractors due to warranty nightmares. Parts availability became non-existent as suppliers refused to ship without payment. Compared to reliable competitors from John Deere, Case, and Ford, the 50 series were clearly inferior products from a company that had given up on quality. The International 50 series wasn't just bad tractors. They were the sad ending to one of agriculture's greatest names. From ambitious failures to corporate collapse, these 10 tractors remind us that even legendary companies can lose their way. International Harvester's legacy includes incredible machines, but these models show what happens when engineering ambition exceeds execution capability. If you experienced any of these problematic tractors firsthand, share your stories in the comments. Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe for more agricultural history that shaped our modern world.